To me, Gloucester is home. It's memories of growing up with a loving family. I don't think you need any more than that. I was never disappointed when I had boy after boy. There must have been a reason, because I knew I would have killed any girl that drove me nuts. I would have said, no, you can't, and it would have been difficult. But when people ask me, do you have any children? I say, yes, I have a mother of 5 sons, and I say it with a lot of pride. They are the most important people in my life, and I wouldn't change that for the world.
Maybe we should go back to the beginning.
Okay.
Your parents.
My grandfather, my mother's father, he used to come, in those days, the head of the family could go to different locations to earn money. And he was coming back and forth, and he'd go back and say, and my grandmother's name was Grace, come to America, come to America. And she'd say, no, my parents are still alive, my mother's sickly. But then World War I broke out. The Germans were coming to Sicily. And so they booked passage, and they missed the ship that they booked passage in Palermo. So they took the next available ship. And as they traveled, they saw the remnants and debris of the ship that they missed. So missing the ship saved their lives, and they got to this country. The ship went to Boston. It didn't go to Ellis Island. And so they went to Boston, and that's where they settled until eventually they moved to Gloucester. My grandfather was a fisherman. She got a cigarette in one hand and a drink in the other. Well, she couldn't wait to tell people that how exciting it was that they found out that they missed that ship. You know, when I came to this country, this is what happened, and so on. And you know, she was a stout woman, so you never failed to hear her voice. she was a force, but she was a delightful woman. She was gruff. She was kind of pushy. I think I learned a lot from her. I have some of her traits. The picture that I have of my mother and father was taken at a Sons of Italy event in Magnolia. I don't know if you know that there was a hotel in Magnolia, the Ocean View Hotel. Well, the Sons of Italy used to have a lot of their state functions there. You know, years later, we had a local Sons of Italy. I got elected president right after she died. And when I gave my speech, I said, my mother would have let us stay out all night as long as it was a Sons of Italy event, because she loved the Sons of Italy so much and the promotion of us. She's been gone since 1993. I miss her as much every day. My father was diminutive. He was a little guy. He was the hardest working man in the world. My father was not a citizen. He hadn't become a citizen yet. Why? Because he was illiterate, could barely sign his name, didn't speak English, and he felt like he was gonna pass or whatever. And then America was at war with Italy. And if you weren't a citizen, you were considered an enemy alien. Because of that, my father couldn't go fishing. He nearly hanged himself. He used to love to wear fancy neckties, and my mother walked in and he was tightening the tie. He says, I can't I can't support my family. I can't go fishing. They've taken everything away from me. Why am I still alive? And so she stopped him. And he eventually got help to get his citizenship. And he did. He got it. Remember, we had a dog. We had a little puppy. And his name was Tubby. And when my father was fishing, Tubby was home with us. And as soon as my father would come in from fishing, that dog went crazy. He's home, he's home, he's home. And my father used to go to the St. Peter's Club every day. The dog would be ahead of him. And when the people that were at the club said, oh, some Roger's coming, and they knew. And that dog understood Italian, because that's how my father spoke to him. So he was just, he was forced in his own way. I don't think I'll ever change my feelings of the love I had from my parents and what they instilled in me and in our heritage. I love, obviously you can tell, I love telling people I'm Italian. Actually, I say I'm even better than that, I'm Sicilian.
Fly me to the moon, let me
My job when I was in high school was Sterling's drugstore. And I worked there all through high school. And he had just gotten out of the Navy and used to come in for coffee and lunch and stuff like that. And we used to end up talking and all. But he ended up going into the Air Force. And he said, would you write? So I used to write to him. And before you know it, we got a courtship through mail, and we ended up getting married in 1960. Do you remember the wedding in The Godfather, where they threw the sandwiches? Well, those were called football weddings. Nobody had weddings where there was a sit-down dinner in a big fancy place. Most of the weddings that I went to growing up were at the St. Peter's Club. That was the function hall of the city. And in those days, you didn't need an invitation. Everybody knew that there was going to be a wedding and there was going to be a band and dancing afterwards. And everybody would say, oh, you know who's getting married this week? It was usually a Sunday. You know who's getting married this week? And we would know who it was. We want to go. You know who's playing? And that's how it was in those days. I grew up with brothers who grew up during the big band era, so to speak. You know what the big band era was? Glenn Miller and all of them. And I grew up listening to the radio because they had charge of the stations. And it was always that music. And they were great dancers. My brother Sam was the best dancer in Gloucester. Him and his wife. Whenever there was a wedding or something, there was a breakaway. They had the floor. And I learned to dance from them. And I just appreciated the rhythm to the music that they taught me how to dance to. And then, when I was in high school, there was a dance every weekend, so we all went. And then American Bandstand came on TV with Dick Clark. And it was from Philadelphia in black and white. And they were dancing the way we were dancing. If you grew up in the 50s, everybody danced the same with rhythm, holding on to your partner. And I just loved it. I loved watching it. I just enjoyed, and if someone was to ask me what's the favorite song you'd like to dance to today, would be Fly Me to the Moon by Frank Sinatra. Because it's got such a great rhythm because of David, my companion. He's a nice dancer, he's a great dancer. And so we dance together. And we go different places together. Well, we did. A lot of places are shut down. But that's a song that has the best beat to dance to around the floor. This is fun. This is, it takes your mind away from any problems. You're dancing. It's just a time to grow up. In fact, I do tell people, if someone asked me today, if you could go back and spend 1 year of your life what would it be? And I always say 1958. I was 18 years old. I was a senior in high school. There wasn't a pressure in the world. We weren't at war. There was no American divide. It was just a great time to grow up. And the most important thing for us at that time was to get home by 3 o'clock every afternoon from school because American Bandstand was going to be on. And we felt like we went to school with the group that danced on American Bandstand. Our pride was, oh, there's a dance Saturday night, are we going? And we just danced all the time. So I always say, I'm glad I grew up when I did.